2021 will be the bicentennial of the Santa Fe Trail. Santa Fe Trail started in Independence, Missouri, ran across what is now Kansas along the Arkansas River, went to about where Pueblo, Colorado is, then down, sometimes where about Las Vegas, New Mexico is now, and then around and back up to Santa Fe. But there was another route to Santa Fe that's not often talked about that was used earlier by the Indians and some early traders. That's the route that took people through Taos, New Mexico. They came right in through this Red River area, did some trapping, then the mountain men would go down to Taos, sometimes for a rendezvous, then ride back north, and then just south of where Fort Garland is now, they go across the low water crossing of the Rio Grande and then down to Santa Fe. So Taos, Red River, the whole enchanted circle is all Santa Fe Trail country. In fact, they went to the Santa Fe Trail first by that route. One of the classics of the Santa Fe Trail is this book, Watoya, The Taos Trail by Louis Gerrard. Louis Gerrard was a young man, a teenager, when he first took off with St. Vrain and some other people across the incredible Santa Fe Trail on a big adventure. Imagine a teenager doing something like that today. 800 miles over rough country and totally with the permission of his parents. He thought it would be a great adventure and might turn him into a man. So I'm going to read to you now a little bit about the first person account of going on the Taos Trail by Louis Gerrard. This is really pretty remarkable stuff. We rode over the snowbanks 5 feet in depth, occasionally breaking through. The air grew chilly as the sun declined. Our exertions in walking up the steeps warmed us but just a little. On the summit, a level bare spot, a brackish body of water, El Laguna, presented itself, its margin growth with slime-covered sedge. Riding to the edge of a precipice, we saw the valley we that morning had left. Thousands of feet below, tall pines appeared mere bushes, and the Rio Raeta, a silver thread. That's right about where Cimarron, New Mexico is now today. Pursued with the eye, it was lost among the numerous hills, whence after many windings it coursed over a plain, a considerable stream, the channel marked out by trees on either bank. Sheltered by an elevation of ground and a pine thicket in the rear, we encamped by a snowbank, from which we scooped the water of our coffee. The horses had been, before sunset, watered, while the melted snow running the path. They were left for the night in a sheltered grass spot to luxuriate on festuccia. On leaving the rancho, Hatcher, Louis, and myself tied beef to the saddle strings. The Capitan and companions had their rations. The blending of their salt with our fresh meat was agreeable to both. From some pines we clipped with knives the soft ends of the boughs, and before the fire in the depression of the ground spread them down with blankets and robes on top, making a couch where ease replayed our trouble. An old Mexican trudged up to camp after dark, who, when we hailed him to know his business so far from any place, replied he was going to Senor Braun's house. He eats some proffered meat and coffee, and then after rolling up and smoking a shuck cigarillo, coiled himself before the fire in his one blanket to sleep. A common person would have frozen with so slim an amount of covering. But, good Lord, my Dios, these rancheros can undergo that which would kill a dozen respectable white men. So that's an account, early days of the Santa Fe Trail. Rough camping out, but what an adventure. Here is the classic song about the Santa Fe Trail. It's just called the Santa Fe Trail. Hey, party, have you sighted a schooner down by the Santa Fe Trail? Should have been there Monday or sooner. with a water keg tied to the tail. Dad and Mom, the mule seat, and somewhere along by the swale was a tow-headed gal on a pinto alongside of the Santa Fe Trail. I seen her right down the arroyo, down by the Arkansas sand. She's riding a little pinto with a little brown quirt in her hand, and she mounted her pony so airy, and she rode like she carried the mail, and her eyes near set fire to the prairie down by the Santa Fe Trail. Yo-ho, down by the Santa Fe Trail. She had a smile like an acre of sunflowers down by the Santa Fe Trail. Now I know some gals on the border that'll ride to El Paso to sight, and I'm a member of a high-flying order. Sometimes kiss some gals goodnight, but Lord, they're just fancy beatin' and afternoon tea by the pail compared to the kind of stampeding I got on the Santa Fe Trail. Yo-ho, alongside of the Santa Fe Trail. Oh, alongside of the Santa Fe Trail. Hey, pard, have you sighted a schooner alongside the Santa Fe Trail? Been there Monday or sooner with a water keg tied to the pail. Mama and Dad on the mule seat, and somewhere along by the swale was a tow-headed gal on a pinto alongside the Santa Fe Trail. Yo-ho, alongside of the Santa Fe Trail, and her eyes near set fire to the prairie alongside the Santa Fe Trail.